Hey everybody, it's Leroy from Leroy Gaming, and in today's Baldurs Gate 3 guide, we're going to look at the Tempest Domain Subclass for the Cleric. In this video, we're going to cover character creation level 1 when it comes to the class. We're going to also look at the full level 2 to 12 breakdown. This is going to include all spells available as you level up. And then later on, I'm also going to give my thoughts on general equipment recommendations, as well as my thoughts on multi-classing the Tempest Cleric. You can use timestamps below, jump to the area that most interests you. Remember, drop a like and leave a comment below with your thoughts, feedback, and questions. And now, without further ado, let's check out the Tempest Domain Cleric. Alright, at level 1, key things to note about the Cleric. Your primary ability is Wisdom. You're going to have saving throw proficiencies with Wisdom and Charisma. Your hit dice are 1d8 hit points. And then you're going to have proficiency with all simple weapons, Light Armor, Medium Armor, and Shields. That's baseline. But when we choose Tempest Domain, it's also going to add Martial Weapon proficiency, as well as Heavy Armor proficiency. And then you're going to get access to the Thunderwave and Fog spell, and then the Wrath of the Storm feature that I'll describe in just a second. This means that not only can you be an offensive caster in addition to your healing, but you can also be very offensive melee-wise since you have access to all armor and pretty much all weapons. Now, looking at the Cleric, you will get access to 3 cantrips. Let me show you your options here. The one that's a must is Guidance, since it adds 1 to 4 points to pretty much any ability check pretty much that you're going to do out there. And then you have access to picking 2 more. I'm going to mouse over them. Feel free to pause the game, or the video rather, if you kind of want to see the descriptors, but choose whichever ones seem interesting to you. Now you're going to get instant access to 5 spells that are initially memorized. So Cure Wounds is super useful as a main action heal. Guiding Bolt is one of 2 main ranged spells you're going to have. Healing Word, do note this is a bonus action heal, so you can combo it with the basically melee ranged Cure Wound to maximize healing. It's also really good at raising people from range. Inflict Wounds, and then Shield of Faith is amazing. And do note this requires concentration, gives you 2 AC. We'll be talking about maintaining concentration a lot later in the video. Just note it's a big aspect. Anytime you take damage, you have to do a saving throw, and if you fail it, you could lose concentration, which is not good. You will receive 2 level 1 spell slots at level 1, and you're going to receive specific domain spells that will always be prepared. And we'll take a look at those right now. So your 2 domain spells you're going to start with are Thunderwave, which is a really good damage spell that also knocks enemies away, great for knocking people off edges and cliffs, and Fog Cloud. And your subclass feature is Wrath of the Storm, so it allows you to strike back at an attacking creature, which is like a reaction, periodically potentially dealing 2 to 16 lightning damage, and then on a failed saving throw, you deal half of 2 to 16 thunder damage. Now, when we talk about stats, since we're going to be wanting to do a combination of melee damage and also casting and heavy armor, I recommend 16 strength, 10 dexterity, 15 constitution, 8 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 8 charisma. Now, at level 2, we're going to add additional level 1 spell slot and also access to channel divinity charges. You're going to start with 1. It's going to allow you to either turn undead or use your special subclass feature we'll look at in a second that refreshes on a short or long rest. Here's how Turn Undead works. And your subclass feature is Destructive Wrath. When you roll thunder or lightning damage, you can use your channel divinity to deal maximum damage instead. You can really work this, especially at higher levels, to do some insane damage. Now here's how spell preparation works for clerics. You're gonna be able to prepare at any given time when you level up, or also you go into inventory, you can change this, how many spells you can have prepared. Right now at level 2 you're going to have 5 and it's going to increase as you level up. But you're going to be able to pick 5 from this whole list. So I'm going to mouse over it. And as you can see, you can swap them out. Sanctuary is really good. To give you an idea, you can cast it on somebody, and as long as they don't do any offensive actions, they're going to be immune to damage except for AoE damage. So this is really good if somebody's about to die or they dropped and then you had to heal them up and they're trying to get safety. Bless is a second good concentration spell, so you can't have it at the same time as Shield of Faith, unfortunately, but really good for making your attack scores way better across your team. Of course, you get Cure Wounds and Healing Wounds are really big. And Create or Destroy Water is going to be huge. You can create water, and then if you do a lightning spell, for example, it's going to make basically people that are wet and inside this water, they're going to be more susceptible to lightning damage. And so it will do double damage. And as you can imagine, if you use that subclass ability to maximize damage, this is how people get insane damage with this subclass. At level 3, you're going to get one more level 1 spell slot, but now you're going to get 2 more level 2 spell slots. You're going to get 2 spells that you're going to, again, have all the time. Shatter is the first one. And then you're going to get Gust of Wind. Now, in addition to these, that will always be prepared, here are all the new level 2 spells. I'll mouse over them for you. Enhance ability is really good. So is Hold Person. Prayer of Healing is a great AoE heal, but do note that it is only for out of combat. Protection from poison, also like to point out there's a lot of poison fights and areas. And so do note this does not require concentration. It gives you advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage. And it lasts until you long rest, so that's really solid. Spiritual Weapon is interesting too. You summon these kind of like pets, and you control them independently. And finally, Warding Bond I'm a big fan of as well if you want to be supportive. You cast this on an ally, they're going to get resistance to all damage, +1 to AC and saving throws. This is not concentration based. You only disable it when you long rest or if you toggle it off. But do note, even though the other character does take half damage, you take the remaining half damage. So you're basically sharing the damage. And here's the interface, as I mentioned. Now you can have up to 6 spells prepared, but they are across all the levels. You're going to see that continue on level to level. At level 4, you're going to get another level 2 spell slot. You're going to get another cantrip. There's not that many good ones, so pick whichever one you want. You're also going to get a new feat. Now, this is very important. There's a reason why I recommend 15 Constitution. That's because the number 1 feat that I recommend will be Resilient. It allows you to pick Constitution, and not only will you get 1 extra stat point to get you to 16, but it'll make you proficient when it comes to Constitution saving throws, which is a big way of making sure that you don't fail your concentration checks. The other feat that goes great along this, and you can choose to have it at level 4 or level 8, is Warcaster. You gain advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on on your spells. You can also use a reaction to cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving out of melee range, which is thematic, but really we care about the advantage on the rolls. If you have both of these, it's a really good way to minimize the chance that you are going to lose concentration on your spells, which is a big deal. And then of course, upping your ability scores is also a great option as you level up. Level 6 is going to be a huge level for you. You're going to gain 2 level 3 spell slots, which is the most important thing here. And you're also going to upgrade your Turn Undead to Destroy Undead. When you successfully turn an undead creature, it's also going to take 2 to 24 radiant damage. But the big thing here is you're going to get 2 bound spells, Call Lightning and Sleet Storm. But what really care about is Call Lightning. Does a ton of damage. And remember, you can use your class feature to max this out. which means you would do a 30 damage base to everything that you target here. And if you cast water or have somebody stand in water via another source, it's going to do a lot more damage. So you can do hundreds and hundreds of damage if you attack numerous characters with this spell combination. It's very powerful. This is the level where the Tempest Cleric really comes online. But you also have the other spells that I'm going to go over now. You can look over here. Mass Healing Word is pretty potent. And of course you have 8 spells to choose from now across these 3 different levels, so that's important to keep in mind as well. Alright, level 6, you're going to get 1 more level 3 spell slot, so more lightning casts. You're going to get another charge of Channel Divinity, which is amazing. And you're going to get Thunderbolt Strike as a subclass feature. When you deal lightning or thunder damage to a creature that is large or smaller, you can also push it up to 3 meters. So this is really nice. So now your lightning based spells, especially that you may use, are not only going to take a ton of damage, but if they're near edges, etc., you can push them off. So very, very potent. And now again, you can choose up to 9 spells across to prepare. At level 7, you're going to unlock level 4 spells, and you're going to get 1 level 4 spell slot. The ones that you're going to have automatically prepared are going to be Ice Storm, which isn't as useful for this build comparatively, and also Freedom of Movement. And here are your other spells. Now, in all honesty, I'm not a really big fan of these spells for this subclass. But remember, you can upcast your lower level spells to heal more or do more damage. So that's normally how I recommend utilizing the level 4 spell slots as you get them for the Tempest Cleric. At level 8, you're going to get another level 4 spell slot. You're going to get Divine Strike Tempest. So it's basically an action where you do weapon damage plus 1d8 thunder. You're going to be able to prepare 11 spells now. And you're going to get your second feat here. At level 9, you're going to get 1 more level 4 spell slot, but you're also going to get your first level 5 spell slot. The spells you get automatically are Destructive Wave, which does a ton of damage, and also Insect Plague. Those will be always memorized. Not sure why Insect Plague, by the way, is thematic here for Tempest, but yeah, it's okay. And then here are the other level 5 spells you can choose from. Max Cure Wounds is quite effective. But overall, I think you're going to be probably upscaling your lower level lightning spells. Again, just like you did with the level 4 setup. And you now get up to 12 spells to prepare. Level 10, you're going to get another level 5 spell slot. You're going to get Divine Intervention, which is very, very powerful. I'll show you what that's all about in a moment. You do get another cantrip in case you wanted one more, and you're going to get to now prepare 13 spells. Now, Divine Intervention is very powerful. You get to call upon your deity, your moment of greatest need, and once they interfere, they're never going to do so in this manner again. So this is a one-off ability. There's 4 different things you can choose from. There's Sunder the Heretical. It does 8d10 radiant damage. It's in a huge 15-meter circle, so you can kind of see the outskirts of the circle. It basically nukes the entire battlefield. So if you need to bomb something, this is the class to do with it, ironically. The second option is Opulent Revival. You resurrect fallen companions with half their hit points, and most importantly, you restore all nearby allies as if they had long rested. So that's important because you get your spell slots back, etc. So if you're in a really tough battle later in the game, and if you're struggling, this can be a huge boon. There's Golden Generosity, and this is the one I definitely do not recommend at all. It's going to give you a bunch of potions and camp supplies. You should not be low on camp supplies in this game, so definitely not worth it. And finally, Arm Thy Servant. You call upon your deity to grant you a legendary weapon forged in the fires of your holy bond. So this is a permanent weapon you'd get. I'll go ahead and show you what that is, since this is the one that is different than the others. It's going to auto-equip it. It's the Devotee Mace. It's a mace that does plus 1d8 radiant damage. It is plus 3. And it also has an ability called Healing Incense Aura. It's going to do, basically, for 10 turns, it's going to heal you and your nearby allies within 9 meters for 1 to 4 hit points at the start of the turn. It does not require any concentration, and it refreshes every long rest, and you can activate it as a bonus action. So basically, over 10 rounds, it's between 10 and 40 health to everybody around you. So it's quite decent, and it's a nice legendary mace if you don't have better. At level 11, you're going to get one level 6 spell slot, and you're going to be able to prepare 14 spells. And here are the new spells you get to choose from. Create Dead is Undead, rather, is pretty decent. Heal is very powerful, but my favorite is going to be Planar Ally. There's 3 different allies you're going to choose from. I'm going to show you in just a second what they look like and what their abilities are. Alright, so as I mentioned, there's 3 different Planar Ally. The first one is Cambion, which is a devil, basically. You got Fiendish Charm as its first ability, Draining Kiss, and Raise of Fire. And here's what it looks like. He's got 82 health. And here's his stat line. I think his stat line is actually the weakest of the 3. Next, there's the Diva Planar Ally. You think this would be a girl character, but it's not. He's got the ability of Wrathful Smite, Revivify, and Concussive Smash. And here's what he looks like. He's also quite powerful, 136 health, and he's got a pretty nice stat block for sure. And finally, there's the Planar Ally Genie. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. I think I called it D-Genie in a different video, but it's definitely, I think, Genie. So his abilities are Sweet Plum Gales, Thunderwave, and Drunken Inhale. And he's got actually the most insane, I think, of all the stat blocks overall. Oh, that was interesting. I almost I had a reaction there. So let's check him out. He's got 161 hit points, which is bonkers. And take a look at that juicy stat line. He doesn't have as many resistances. That's, I think, the difference compared to some of the other allies, but he's quite beefy. Alright, and finally at level 12, you're going to be able to prepare up to 15 spells, and you're going to get your final feat, so do whatever you wish on there. Now, when it comes to equipping a Tempest Cleric, you definitely want to obviously go with heavy armor to protect yourself, go with a shield, and a good one-handed weapon. There are a variety of items in the game that are going to give you lightning charges and different effects that are going to provide extra lightning damage. They're very lightning themed. Feel free to kind of build around those. You can kind of min-max a lot of effects. If you do want to also be able to side heal effectively, there's just 2 go-to items I love to have on my clerics. One is Wapira's Crown. When healing another, the wearer heals 1 to 6 hit points. Also, Boots of Aid and Comfort. While they're green, they're very good. When the wearer heals the target, it gains an additional 3 temporary hit points. So those are pretty solid. And when it comes to jewelry, any type of jewelry that's going to increase the amount of spells you can cast, you can never go wrong with that. Or something like the Spellcrux Amulet that lets you restore a spell slot. I like to use that to get an extra 6th level spell slot. Those are great. So lots of variety here, but as long as you keep it pretty basic and thematic, you're going to do quite well here. Now, when it comes to multiclassing, the Tempest, specifically Cleric, you can definitely multi-class this, and it's very popular to multi-class it with the weather-based sorcerer, I believe. I don't know if it's I don't think it's called a Tempest sorcerer, but it's like it's the lightning and thunder themed sorcerer. They synergize pretty darn well. If you want to really min-max the whole concept of casting lightning damage with max damage and then being able to, you know, abuse water effects to do even more damage. So that's a pretty popular multi-class. You can always just go one level on this and then do other casters like or hybrid casters, kind of like bards, to get more diversity of spells if you want. So there's a lot of kind of creative ways you can build with a cleric because of everything it provides at level 1. Also though, this class is very, very powerful just solo without going multi-classing. As you notice, there's just very powerful spells. Your 6th level spells are very, very effective and helpful, and you get some great benefits at high levels. So there's definitely no shame in just going solo class with the Tempest Cleric especially. Alright guys, that brings us to the end to the Tempest Domain Subclass video for the Cleric. I hope you found it helpful. Again, please make sure to drop a like and provide me your commentary in the comments. Would love feedback, good or bad. It's all appreciated, and I look forward to sharing more videos with you. Thank you for all the support, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.